Back Pod Stream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com.
Well, on the bright side, it was an afternoon game, and you've got your Saturday night to do whatever you got to do to get over whatever that was. Bit of a messy return to the ice for the Oilers. 6-3. They end up dropping a game in Philadelphia. Welcome to Got Your Back, folks. Post-game edition. Ryan Rishaug back here at home. Jason Strudwick is standing by. Rob Brown will hop in on the phone in a little bit, and we got Zuby at the helm at Growler Media World headquarters in Kelowna. Ready to rock and roll for a great show today, breaking down an ugly game. And as always, it's brought to you by our title sponsor, Play Alberta, the official gambling partner of all the major Alberta teams. Whoever you cheer for, Play Alberta's cheering you on. Bet on favorites, get in on odds boosts, and make game time more interesting. Deposit today and get a $50 free bet with code GYB02. That is code GYB02. Visit playalberta.ca. In our Adrenaline Diesel studio here today, got to tell you about their all-new 24/7 mobile service truck. Ready for roadside emergencies, scheduled repairs, expert diagnostics, anytime, anywhere. For service truck emergencies, call 780-907-1965. And there's the big guy in his home office, Zuby in Kelowna. Gentlemen, you know when you get back from holidays, you come back from holidays, and it takes you a day or two to just kind of get your head square, just to feel normal again, get into the groove back at home, just sort of feel like you're settled in, right? It's no big deal when that happens for you and I, but when you're an NHL player, Struds, coming back off a break, there's just no time to back your way in. We're going to get to it all in the breakdown, but how much of an excuse, Struddy, can a prolonged break be for what we saw today? I want you to nip this one in the bud right away.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter because everyone's dealing with it, right? Everyone's got the same issues to go at it. So, Jen, I felt that when we came back from a break, the team that was kind of a little more desperate would usually win the game, right? The team that's a little bit more hungry, would kind of get the win. And I mean, it played out today. Both teams are fairly sloppy, but one team was just a little bit hungrier and wanted a little bit more than the other.
Zuby, you're going to have a close eye on the stream today. People are going to want to talk about Skinner, you being our resident Div 12 men's Thursday night 12 to 1 a.m. time slot goaltending expert. What say you to those who are coming at Skinner on the stream already before we even get to our breakdown? What say you, Zuby?
Well, there's a surprising amount there is defense of him also. Hard to blame Stu, and the defense in front of him is hot garbage. But with that being said, Stu has to make a save. That's Hamilton said that. I think that's a pretty good overall assessment. I'd like to see him find a way to stop that first one. He kind of lost it behind the net off the bounce. Yeah. And then a fraud chicken, I mentioned this to you guys before we came on the air. He says, this is a very interesting new thought of goaltending that I had never thought of, that he feels like Skinner's poor positioning and lateral movement makes goals look unsavable. I mean, that's a new one to me. And like I said, I don't think that's crazy, but that's going a few layers deep into saying Skinner's got people convinced that goals are not savable because of the positioning. But yeah, I don't know. I would like to see one more save from him. 5 goals in 2 periods is not enough. It's probably the first one I would point to.
Hey, here's a novel idea. How about take some shots in the third period? You're down a couple of goals. How about that for a starting point there, fellers? Lots of stuff on the list before we get to Stuart Skinner. Let's just dive right into the breakdown. We don't need any sort of pleasant chit-chats because Oiler fan, I think, just wants to get to it. Let's get to the breakdown. It's the Alberta Ram Dealers 2025 Ram 1500. It is Motor Trend's Truck of the Year. Visit your Alberta Ram dealer to get into this award-winning truck. at a competitive price, capable, stylish, powerful. We are talking about Ram. Beautiful inside and out. Travesty of turnovers. That is the name of the show today, Struds. It is fitting. That's precisely what it was. We're going to dig in on Evan Bouchard here. He was the main culprit on a bunch of these. Oh, but it wasn't just him, Struds. It wasn't just him. This was throughout the entire lineup. There were probably 6 different players in the lineup tonight that had 5 stars in their own end. And Bouchard's came back to bite him for the most part, so we can probably start there. But it was not just Evan Bouchard today.
So when I use the word sloppy, that's not the high level hockey lingo that people want to hear. It's puck management, right? Puck management all over the ice. And it wasn't just him. There was a lot of players, again, on both teams that had a tough time. But when you're coming back from a break and you're trying to find your legs, trying to make sure everything's, going okay, you've got to be really sure and certain about where you put the puck and when you put it there. And, we just saw a lot of casual plays from specifically the Oilers that resulted in really easy kind of chances against. And guys like Tippett, guys like Mitchkoff, they want to just get the puck and go. That's not, that's not a skilled play to get them the puck. They're just jumping on a puck and going. And that's what they want. So you give them, they're opportunists is the word I'd use. And the Oilers fed into their game plan. It's just all night long. And they didn't come ready to manage the puck against a team that, quite honestly, that team was ready to lose. The Flyers are trying to lose the game as much as the Oilers were.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And they just let it go. There's one clip I'm going to get to here in the Weiss Johnson soundbox right away from Chris Knobloch on the break and the idea that the break might have had something to do with this.
Oh, well, everyone's going through the same thing. They had the same break and their same schedule. So, no excuses on that. Yeah. And, what's alarming is, if we don't get better. But tonight we got caught off guard and didn't play very well.
What's alarming is if we don't get better. That clip there, a poignant one from Chris Knobloch, because Struds, it's not like they blasted into the break playing some great hockey. We had concerns about their game heading into the break, and then they come back and do this. So they had lost 3 of their last 5 heading into the break. So it's 4 of their last 6 now that they have dropped. Far from panic time, and it's the first game after the break. So we're not going to overdo it here on this show. But it continues a trend that was already happening, and they picked up right where they left off. So much for a fresh start.
Yeah, I'm going to give them these are 2 separate things. Before the break and after the break. I don't think the momentum carries over a 2-week break. I just can't believe in that. Now, I would have liked to come back and seen more just a more Christmas to their game. And be ready to kind of manage that puck and be more organized with a fresher mindset. But maybe their legs weren't ready to do that today. So we'll find out tomorrow, because this road trip's a pig. They needed to get these 2 points to start. I said before the road trip, 10 points if they got 5. That's a floor. So now you got to get 5 out of these next 4 teams, and these aren't easy. This was the easy one today.
We're going to talk about Savoie in his game. We'll probably push that to the next segment, because I think there's enough other stuff we got to dig on here as we continue along in the breakdown. Let's dig in on the mistakes, Struds. So turnovers, some people would say that a turnover at the offensive blue line isn't as bad as a turnover in the defensive zone. And I guess it's a little bit less in the moment. It takes a few seconds, but we've seen now Leon Draisaitl had a pretty notable one before the break. Evan Bouchard here to get the night started. Turnovers at the offensive blue line are often just as dangerous, Struds, because with a quick strike team and a team that's got some wheels, they're going to make you pay. And we saw that, just a brutal early mistake at the offensive blue line from Bouchard.
Now that I coach, one of my biggest pet peeves are turnovers at either blue line, your blue line or the other blue line. And the reason I hate them at the offensive blue line is that usually everyone's jumping up in the play and trying to get up there to score. So we're all going north, and all of a sudden the puck's poked off your stick, and now it's coming south. You got to slam on the brakes and regroup. And there's a lot of space out there because, again, you have multiple players that are jumping up in the play. And not managing the puck at the far blue line is something that you have to, quite frankly, at this point in the season, you really got to get that dialed in. You got to, get it in, take it wide. I wouldn't make a move till you get at least top of the circles or deeper, because now you're in deep enough. And if there is a turnover there by your team, you still have some layers there that can stop them by the blue line and or kind of get lucky. But that I have it as high ranking in my own zone as I do in the blue line turnover, because it just creates such a mess. And we're all trusting you to do the right thing in the puck. When you don't, well, we usually get screwed with the chance against.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you need to be even more cautious as a blue liner up on the rush at making a turnover at the offensive blue line, because someone is covering for you who fundamentally is not playing in their normal position? So, as much as you might not like it, Struds, do you have to be smarter about it than a forward, say, off the rush trying to create?
Well, I thought it would take longer than 10 minutes to get into this, but you can never trust a forward, right? Doesn't matter where it is on the ice. And
well, I would say you couldn't trust a D there.
No, don't. The D-men are trying to get up there and create offense. But, to be honest, though, Shaug, if you get over the blue line, and you have to know that the people behind you either aren't willing or don't know how to do your job good enough. So you have to make 100% sure that puck gets in over top of the top of circles, maybe even the hash marks, before there's a chance of you poking that puck off your stick or losing it. And I get, like, Evan's a very good offensive player and he makes a lot of plays, but understand where you're at. It's the first game back, a team that's opportunistic in getting their counter punching on you, and he didn't at that moment really seem to value that play. So it was a misplay. We saw it from other guys throughout the night, but that just got the party started with that first turnover at the blue line.
Okay, well, fast forward. Klingberg ends up getting his first goal as an Oiler. We can discuss that later. Draisaitl on a nice feed there from Savoie. We can discuss that later. Let's stay on the topic du jour, which is the turnovers. Let's go to the 2-2 goal. This time it's Leon Draisaitl with a turnover, and Brett Kulak ends up getting caught flat-footed. Not many guys are going to beat him in a straight-out foot race. But a turnover leads to a rush the other way, Struds.
I don't think that Kulak knew how fast Tippett was, because it didn't seem like he really started to get going until Tippett was pulling away. Because I was watching it, and I was like, who is that? Is that Klingberg? And I know that it's a lefty-righty, so it's not, but you're like, that can't be Kulak. You rarely see Kulak get pulled away from. Rarely. So, yeah, I mean, Leon's a little bit different because he is a forward. He was deep. He was over the blue line, but you kind of got to recognize.
It was a bit of a board battle. Bit of a board battle, right?
So Kulak's got to be prepared for that. But I truly don't think he understood how fast Tippett was, and so he didn't. He thought he could cheat a little bit or be more aggressive than maybe the player beside him would make sense to do.
Well, and even Darnell, I think, had Darnell gone as hard as he could to help with the cutoff, I think maybe he underestimated the situation too. Like, he's probably used to Kulak never losing that race, right? Because Darnell had time to get there to help out, but I think he might have underestimated as well. Now, Zuby, let's get a bad goal check from you on that 2-2 goal. But you know what it reminded me a little bit of, Struds, was McDavid's goal on Hellebuck at the Four Nations, right? Coming hard down the wing, and ends up, you chip a shot up over the goaltender. I got to think you don't love getting beat at that sharp angle, but it's a really quick elevation. So I'm not sure, Zuby, where are we putting that one in the category of good goal, bad goal, not great goal?
Probably it's probably in the middle. I mean, it's a great finish, but you also know the defender has the inside track. So there's no way he can go around. Like, there's no room for that player to continue to try to deke it, tuck it in the far side. So you have to take care of that section of the net. Side. You know he's shooting.
Yeah. Yeah, if he's beating you, he's shooting, and you know the area you need to. So probably not ideal, but again, other breakdowns in that one there for sure. Okay, then we've got Couturier's 3-2 goal, and I don't even know what to say about that one, Struds. He just a 5-star, and there was a stick that got on it late, but it doesn't matter in that position, in that moment, tied game. You just have to make sure, and he just didn't.
So I'm going to take a slightly different angle, but same probably place we're going to end up. So if you didn't see the game, the puck is won to Bouchard, and the Oilers do it all the time. They just flip it out of there, they punt it and chase it down, trying to go get that puck. Bouchard's a little bit casual, and Couturier gets his stick on puck, and now it's just a dribbler out to center. Okay, so or out to the middle of the ice. Okay, so stop it right there. It's not great, but it's not awful because the Oilers still are okay with numbers. When it becomes awful is when Couturier beelines to the front of the net and Bouchard is puck focused, his stick not in the passing lane, it's facing at the guy with the puck. Then the puck slides right by him and it's a one-time into the back of your net. That's where it really gets ugly. So the flip was bad, but the ugliness was not understanding the guy who took it from you is the guy going to the back door for the backdoor tap in. And that to me that is after that, I believe Coffey benched him for a while. And it was like, that can't happen. You need to understand that, yeah, it's bad, but you can recover. We can get out of this without getting burned. And he didn't feel it in that moment.
So they tried to sit him down a little bit there. I think they rolled over him a couple of times.
Yeah.
Oilers end up coming back. Matthias Ekholm on a great feed from Leon Draisaitl. And then the turnover bug bites again. This time it's Janmark coming down the wall, and there is a turnover. Matthias Ekholm, who made the pass up to the left wing, then went to the bench to change. Quick turnover, quick transition, and they're pooched. They're caught, and ends up in the back of the net. So again, another turnover when the Oilers are trying to head north.
So Kulak follows the play up as well. So yeah, let's start with the janitor. The janitor doesn't look like you're going to quite get it in there. Just throw it in. Just throw it in. It's been one of those days where the turnovers are matter. Just get it and just throw it deep. Throw it in there. But Kulak's following right up behind the play. It goes between gets to Couturier, and Couturier between his legs just throws it right up the wall. And now we're off to the races, right? And we talk about the play there. I mean, Ekholm's got to change at some point. So you'd think there's two guys over there and you're going to get that puck deep and manage it, but they aren't able to get it done. And then there's the goal side. There's no chance that's Skinner's fault on that goal. That was a couple guys kind of one doing the wrong play, the other misreading it that allows them that type of break.
So that was a 4-3 goal. Then it goes to 5-3 on Kuzmenko's goal. That one, I believe, came on a power play, deflected point shots. I think Konechny had the great feed there. And so there the Oilers are down a couple of goal struds. So then they come out in the third period. There's lots of game left, and the Oilers are a good come-from-behind team. Like, they've done it multiple times this year. So you're probably thinking, like, all right, they got a chip in a chair here. And Skinner came out to play in the third period, right? He made some pretty nice saves along the way there to keep his group in it. What the heck happened in the third period? How do you not even, push? Like, there were no shots. Would they have 2 shots in the third period? Something like that, maybe 2 or 3, something like that. I'll have to double check it here. But there was little to no gumption and push in that third period from this Oiler team.
Yeah, like they had some decent stretches in the second where they just dominated, absolutely dominated for stretched in the offensive zone, and they were just doing what they wanted. And, you mentioned the
3
Ekholm
shots.
goal. They just completely dominated that. And then you go into the third period, and this is a team that gives up leads. They're not very good. Like this isn't a good Flyers team. Let's not mistake this for an elite team. And they didn't quite come out and bring their best. And that's kind of how it went the whole night. I had a hard time. I was sitting there watching thinking, are they going to turn it up? But, they've had moments, but they haven't all had moments. And they looked flat, especially in the third. So I don't think they deserved to win this game, shocker. They didn't win the game. And now they roll into Washington tonight.
Okay. Let's go a little bigger picture here on Bouchard. And we're not going to, we won't overdo it on this because it's the first game back. So we'll let it breathe here for a couple of games and see where his game is at. But bottom line, Struds, this needs to be a player that they can rely on. And he has not had any reliability in his game at all. He's had little in the way of offensive reliability, next to no defensive reliability, little to no situational reliability in terms of moments where, you want to be the big time guy, you get put out into situations and you're a lock. There is very little reliability in his game, in big situations as well, as I would say. So, for a team that's sitting here considering putting $9+ million on the table on a long-term deal, how much would the performance that we've seen this year, keeping in mind his playoffs, all-timer of a playoff, and last year how excellent he was, how much is this season's performance chipping away at your confidence that a long-term deal at big money is the reasonable or smart play for the Oilers here?
Let's put a dent in it. The way he played in the playoffs last year, I thought he'd come in and he'd start there. That's where he'd start. You kind of say, oh, guys figured it out. The game slowed down for him, whatever cliche you want to use. And it's not there right now, right? It's not there. And I know I look at the analytics. I understand what happens when he's on the ice, but it's those moments and understanding just little moments. And I just went over that one that, off the face-off, like everyone makes mistakes. It's how you bounce back from that mistake right away to try to, avoid a goal or not have a goal against with. And I wonder what's going on through his head right now. Was he ultra disappointed? Well, so to start the year, was it too much pressure to try to make that team? Or did he put pressure on himself to try to make that team? Did he put extra pressure on himself to live up to what he was in the playoffs to get the contract that maybe his agent, because his agent would have talked to him about it for sure in the offseason? Mm-hmm. Is he now disappointed that he didn't make the All-Star, or not the All-Star team, but the Team Canada? Did he put pressure on himself? Because now he's not playing well, so he's trying to do too much to try to get back to the number of the contracts and all that after. So I think there's a lot swirling around in his mind. And with him, and this sounds like it's unskilled, but just see the play, make the play. Just he is such a good passer. Just see the play, make the play. Pass it, get it going, make it happen. I mean, there's a play on the power play in the third period where the puck kind of was he was on the blue line. It was just to his left. And you could tell that the puck was going to get pounced to the middle. There's no one in the middle there. Leona's against the far wall. Flyers get a 2-on-0 because he didn't slide over at all just to guard the middle of the ice. He's stuck on the wall. And that's a failed read right there. That's a failed read. And he needs to slide to the middle, just even 5 feet, knowing that the puck may come there, and then I can just stop it and put it back in. Or if it doesn't come there, at least I'm in a position in the middle of the ice to hold someone up or to maybe even beat someone back. So that's where I think he's overthinking it, thinking, man, I got to do something special here. Just do what you're supposed to do. See the read, make the read.
So big picture on the contract, and this is the decision that the Oilers are going to have to make here, over the next number of months. For me, it's put a pretty significant dent in it because his game's been going the wrong way for a little while here, and he's had a hard time getting it on track. And there haven't really been any excuses in terms of, that we know of, in terms of injury, other sorts of, I think this was about pressure, expectation. I think it was about, hangover, and a lot of the players went through that. He showed he was so good in the playoffs last year and last season after the coaching change. He was excellent and fantastic in the playoffs, and that can't mean nothing. But if his play continues this way through the remainder of the regular season, and then suddenly he flips a switch and is back to the old Bouchard in the playoffs, I think, you probably can take some comfort in knowing when it really, really matters and it really, really picks up, he can find the confidence and do it. But if he doesn't find a significantly higher level in the playoff Struds, red flags all over the place for me. And the question that I would start to have is this a player that you can give a massive contract to and rely on year after year in a city where when it's not going well for you, you're going to hear about it? And that is going to be extremely difficult to deal with. It takes major toughness. You got to be made out of wrought iron to work your way through that. I believe it's taken Darnell Nurse a couple seasons to figure out how to kind of deal with that reality and play your way through it and find your game and find your confidence. I don't know Evan Bouchard is made of the stuff to work through what Darnell Nurse has been through the last couple of years. I'm not sure. So there's a couple elements to this that to me are pretty interesting here, but there's still some season to go here, and Bouchard has shown he can be an incredibly high-end defenseman. He has it in him. It's Paul Coffey's job to try and help get it out of him, but definitely some flags here, Struds.
Yeah,
is all that fair?
Yeah, it's very fair. And it's there. It's in him. It is in him for sure, right? To do it, because we've seen him play at the highest of levels. And so I just wonder, where do you go from this game? I've been advocating, saying that he needed a break, he needed to get it away, and he got away in his first game back. It was tough, really tough. Now, doesn't mean your second game back has to be rough, right? Maybe that's the one that gets out some of those tough plays, but there has to be a reset. And that's what I said. I thought the break would be for him. So now it's a reset against Washington, which is possible. But that's the challenge. Like, what do I do well when I'm playing well? What does it look like?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing if I'm the coaching staff tomorrow. I'm leaning into this player. I'm starting him. I'm giving him tons of minutes. I'm showing confidence in him. He's going to know that today was terrible. You could tell he knew that today was terrible. Yeah. He's had these games before, and you just got to lean into this player, right? They benched him a bit. Fresh start tomorrow, out you go. And if he's bad again, same thing. Fresh start, out you go. And if he goes 3-4 games and it doesn't improve, well, now you got to start doing what you got to do in terms of cutting back ice time and that kind of thing. But to me, you're just piling the minutes onto this guy, showing him you believe in him and giving him a chance to sort it out coming out of the break here, Struds.
Played 22 minutes and he was benched for probably about 4 or 5 minutes. So his minutes weren't compromised today very much. And maybe that is the way out, right? That would probably be the opposite way that I would go. But that's probably the right way, right? Get him out there, get him playing, keep him going, let him work through it. Basically is what you're saying, and tell his partner to be ready.
You know what though, man? And this is part of it. And this is why there was, when Ekholm wasn't there a game recently where Matthias Ekholm was out and Evan Bouchard came out and played one of the worst games of the year on a night where, or was it Ekholm was sick? I can't remember if he was sick or if he was out, but it was part of a heavy criticism I had for Evan Bouchard after the game. How do you start the game like that when you know your team's already down that defenseman? You need to be reliable in that moment, right? Well, Connor McDavid, Matthias Ekholm, to a lesser degree, Arvidsson, those guys have just been through the ringer. So if you're a guy like Darnell Nurse, Evan Bouchard, these other guys, hey, we might have to carry a little extra here. Ekholm's been sick for 3 weeks, just got back from this tournament. I got to make sure today. And we just don't see him steel himself in these kinds of moments. Think about what Draisaitl did when McDavid was out. Played his best hockey of the year. And these are moments where it's like, you got to be able to lean on that guy. Rely on that guy. Never mind the offense, but just go out, be steady, be solid. Don't be the problem today. And maybe be the solution. And in moments, they're having trouble relying on this guy. He's got it in him, man. We know he's got it in him, but he has not been showing it lately, and we'll see if he can find it coming out of the break. Okay, Struds, you know what? I'm pushing everything to the next segment. I'm pushing the relentless player because we can't all of a sudden start talking about that. Oh, we got Brownie now? Brownie, you there?
I am here.
Oh, he's there. Okay, I won't wrap this segment yet. We just basically spent the entire segment breaking down all the giveaways, Brownie, and talking for the last 10 or 15 minutes about Evan Bouchard. So I want you to jump in on this conversation here. First of all, there's going to be two elements to this. One, his night, and two, big picture with him. So run down his night here, buddy.
It was a bad night. It was a bad night. He struggled again defensively. Big turnovers, forcing things that aren't there. And then the problem that we've seen with Evan Bouchard, and this is one of the big things why he's a lightning rod for a lot of fans, is when he makes the big mistake, it's the lack of response. And I know from experience, when I played and I made a mistake in the offensive zone, you've never skated faster in your life as you're trying to make up for the mistake you made. A great example is he tries flipping it out of his own zone. It gets deflected by Couturier. Mistake made. Big mistake. But then he doesn't cover Couturier. Couturier goes backdoor wide open. Bouchard makes no effort to cover him. And there's your second mistake. So you can't compound your mistake by, I don't know if it's a lack of effort or a lack of station or what it is. And that's over and over and over again. So Evan Bouchard, it has been a long stretch right now where he's not doing enough offensively. He's not scoring power play goals. We're game 56. He's got 0 on the season power play goals. And the big mistake's still part of his game. There always will be big mistakes. And Struds can tell you that. Everybody at some point during the season makes a big mistake. But it can't be the same player over and over and over making those mistakes. So that was, to me, the rundown on his game. It was a really tough night for Evan Bouchard.
I want to get Zinger in here because he's coming to Bouchard's defense a little bit. Whole team was awful except Dry and Savoie. They were definitely rusty. Only focusing on Bouchard is gross behavior. Nurse, Kulak, Nuge all had awful turnovers. Why not call them out? Okay, Zinger, he's coming to Bouchard's defense. At the start of the show, we did say, I think we started it all, Struds, by saying he was not the only guy. He absolutely was not. There were 6 or 7 Oilers that had 5-star giveaways. Emberson did it. Lots of guys did it. Draisaitl did it. There were lots of players who did it. Evan Bouchard had multiples, and we've seen this in his game before the break. We're seeing it here in the first game returning from the break. And I think this player, has a little bit of a different expectation, big picture, considering there's this contract extension that's looming. So respectfully, Zinger, we need to be able to talk big picture about Bouchard here because of the decision that the Oilers have to make on him. So you are right. It was lots of other players today. He was especially bad. Brownie, quickly, and then we'll go to break here. Big picture, I asked Struds, how much has Bouchard's season this year whittled away at your confidence that a long-term deal at big dollars is the right play for the Oilers? And how much does the performance in the playoffs that are about to happen have the chance to change that?
Well, he has an opportunity in the last 20-some games and into the playoffs to change the narrative. But right now, I'm not giving him an 8-year contract. I'm not. Saddled at $9 million, $10 million, whatever it is. I don't have faith that he will live up to that contract. I'd like to see more from him going forward here the rest of the season. I mean, again, we talked about it. He set a bar last year of what he's capable of doing. He has not been anywhere near that bar. And the one that you just talked about, that caller, that texter in, this was the Oilers, to me, worst game of the season defensively, from top to bottom. It isn't only Bouchard. They were terrible defensively. This game should have been 10-3. Like, that's how bad the Oilers were. But Bouchard is the guy that's got the contract coming up. But no, in my eyes, he's getting a bridge deal at best. I am not giving him an 8-year deal at the money that we talked about, because I do have question marks of whether or not he can live up to that.
All fair comments. Okay, last thing we're going to do before we get to the break is we're going to bring Zuby in. We're going to get to our De Boers Golf Shop and Fitting Center poll. Are you fired up for the upcoming golf season? 2025 equipment from TaylorMade, Ping, and Callaway arriving at De Boers. Get ahead of the fitting rush and schedule your appointment today, located at 5311 99th Street. That's in Edmonton. Zuby, a little Philadelphia Flyer content here.
Yeah, with this fresh in our memories, we ask our YouTube stream, which current Flyers player would you most want the Oilers to add at the deadline? We got Travis Konechny, we got Rasmus Ristolainen, we got Scott Laughton, or none for me, thanks, is our fourth option.
Very good.
If you maybe have your eyes set somewhere else.
All right. And keeping in mind, I mean, my guess would be, you'd have a first-round caliber asset involved in probably any of those deals. Might be a little bit different returns, some more expensive than others. But fundamentally speaking, which of those players would you most like to add to the Oiler group? That was our breakdown brought to you by the Alberta Ram Dealers. Quick break here. Lots more to dive in to from this game. We will pick out a couple of positives because there were one or two. Young player making his debut with the team, thought was pretty darn good. So lots still ahead here on Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
Thinking of that dream vacation? A quick winter escape? Well, flight delays are dreadful. Hospital visits, not fun. Alberta Blue Cross gives you coverage for emergency medical care, cancellations, and lost baggage. Flexibility, reliability, even lounge access or a hotel if the delay is too much. Plus 24/7 travel support ensures you're never left out in the cold. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more.
All right, let's get to some takeaways brought to you by Martin Motorsports. Ready to take on Mother Nature? There is still lots of snow out there. Martin Motorsports has the Skidoo you are stoked for in stores, ready to hit the powder. Don't just ride. Live the Skidoo feeling with Martin Motorsports. Check out their sled inventory by visiting either Edmonton location or martinmotorsports.ca. Get into your next ride today. 0% financing available, borrowing free money. You gotta love that. No interest. Martin Motorsports. Okie dokie. We saw young Savoie playing his first game as a member of the Edmonton Oilers. Brownie, what is your headline on his performance tonight?
Excellent. I thought he was excellent in this hockey game. He was one of the few bright spots on a game where the majority of the Oilers did not play well. I love the play goal. Matt Savoie's not big. He's not going to be able to run somebody over. But when he gets in on the forecheck, he's smart. He goes through the arms of the defenseman, takes away that guy's ability to make a play. Now he puts his head up, looks, I got a guy coming in, and then Savoie makes the play. So he's very smart. His work ethic is good. He's dogged on the puck. But if you're going to stay in the National Hockey League as a smaller skilled player, you also have got to do all the little things. And they showed, I don't know if you guys watched between periods, they showed puck coming around in his own end. He gets it to the centerman. It gets out quickly. Puck through the neutral zone. No play, gets it in deep. Backtracking. All the little things that the coaching staff fall in love with. I thought Matt Savoie did that today. And Struds, you and I have had him. I've had him since grade 4 in St. Albert. You and I had him at NAX. The one thing that we saw with Matt Savoie, other than being a very heady, intelligent hockey player, he has a fantastic work ethic. And that's something that this coaching staff and his teammates will fall in love with.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't even have to talk about Savoie. I'll talk about how Leon treated him. Leon was looking for him to make plays to him. Right. And that tells me a lot. Now that they've had some practices together. What has it been? I guess 3 practices. But Leon was looking for him, trying to get him the puck, trying to make plays because he knew he'd get it back. And his response when he scored his goal right away, he went over and you could tell he's like, great. Thanks for getting me that puck there. Right. Someone texted me and asked me, what's the difference between him and Kyler Yamamoto? I think that they're similar. I mean, he's a little bit bigger than Yamamoto is. But I think he thinks the game even faster than Yamamoto. Like he can make plays and he understands and he gets in there quick. He's not a guy that's going to rock guys, but you talked about that goal with Ristolainen. He just got body position. That's it. He didn't hit him. He just got the body position and made the play on the goal. So Leon's treatment of him tells me a lot about what Leon thinks of him as a player.
Yeah, he's trying to make it work for sure and wants it to work. I would say that I think Savoie might have a little bit higher end skill level potentially. Yamamoto, there was never an issue with his willingness to get in there and to dig and to take on big defensemen, right? He'd always throw the body on guys that were bigger than him. So he checked a lot of boxes on that front. I can't help but think that maybe Savoie's offense, there's a higher ceiling there for him. And keep in mind, guys, on a night where the Oilers were pretty dramatically outshot, when Savoie was on the ice, 13:01 at even strength, the shots were 9-5 in favor of the Oilers. And that's on a night where they were pretty dramatically outshot. Helps having Leon Draisaitl on your line, and they had some really good looks tonight, but generated the nice goal there. So pretty impressive. Let's get to the Weiss Johnson sound box. Weiss Johnson's offering 10% off any new furnace installed before March 1st. If you need to replace your furnace, mention you heard it on Got Your Back. When you book your estimate, you'll get 10% off your new furnace price. Visit weiss-johnson.com today. Jingle.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
Here's the head coach on Savoie's night or afternoon.
And that was one of the bright spots of our team. I thought he played really well. Obviously, gets on the forechecks, sets up the first goal. I guess next shift after that, he made an unbelievable play on the breakout to led to a partial 2-on-1. He made some defensive plays on the back check. I was very happy with his game.
Struds, did you see about what you were expecting from Klingberg? Like, which direction did he step today? Obviously, the goal is a big one and an important one. He had some points, which is great. But overall, which direction did he step in today for you?
Well, we got to be careful with these comments because he had been skating over the break, and that's a massive advantage, right? He'd been skating, so that is, and you could tell. I thought he looked sharp, especially early. So I thought he took another step forward tonight. In a lot of ways. Yeah, he was involved offensively and you want to see that. But I thought the way he was skating, I think he looked pretty comfortable out there. But again, 95% of the guys were on the beach in Mexico the last 2 weeks.
Brownie? You know what I liked about him, guys, is he's reading the plays really well. Like the goal that he scores on, it's nice that he scored the goal, but he read the play and put himself in a position that when the rebound came out, he was there. And when you saw him on the blue line, he's now shooting for sticks or shot passes for sticks. You're starting to see that he's a very heady player. That's what he was when he was in Dallas, when he was at his heyday. He was just a smart player, understood the game offensively. To me, the one worry you always get when you have an offensive defense coming back, hasn't played in a long time, are there big mistakes? Are there times where he gets caught defensively? You haven't seen that. He's a veteran that understands the game, and when the puck's on a stick, he understands what he has to do with it. But he's never, in the games that we've seen thus far, he's never really put himself in a position where he makes the big mistake, the big turnover. I agree with you, Strud. I think this was a nice step forward for him as he continues to try to cement himself in the top four, and I think he's there.
Yeah, he's definitely showing some good signs here. Man, they got a big decision to make based on a small sample size, though. Hey, boys, like there's not a lot of runway here for Stan Bowman to make a pretty important decision. And part of what is also lingering out there is Evander Kane getting back on the ice, which I think Jason Gregor reported the other day that he's back on the ice was going in around 60%. I'm not sure what that means, Struds, for his availability, if he can possibly get back by the end of the season. It feels to me like, this timeline to just be starting to skate, a month of skating, like, does it feel to you like that's a lot before he's game ready? Or do you think that makes sense that he could just be skating and getting ready for a month?
Well,
Plus,
there's a skating,
month and a half.
Yeah. So there's a skating piece, but then there's also the strength piece. So again, we're just going off of Gregor's tweet, and it's great reporting, but has he been able to work out like balls out, as far as getting strength back in his whole body, the way he's working out? Or is he still kind of couching those workouts just to make sure that everything heals? All the hernias, what was it, 4 hernias or whatever, then the knee injury. I would guess that it's more on the latter, where he's really not been working out that much, Brownie, and now he's trying to skate as well. So can you get up to go 100% in 6 weeks for the start of playoffs? 7 weeks, I guess, for the start of playoffs? Maybe. But I think it's unlikely we'll see him anytime before April.
Yeah. I mean, really, if you're a team, you don't want him before April because you'd rather have his salary cap money instead of having him come back a week early. But having said that, then your first games in the playoffs, what are you getting from him? Until he starts practicing at full strength with the team, right now it's just a public skate for him. So being on the ice probably therapeutic in his brain. It probably makes him feel good. But you're right, Struds. It's just public skating. Until he's out there really practicing, then you can start saying, okay, now he's preparing to come back. Now he's preparing to be part of this team. It's funny, he's still as big a question mark here, late February, as he was the beginning of October. You still have no idea where you're going to get Evander Kane, what kind of Evander Kane you're going to get, and at what point of this season you're going to see him in an Oiler jersey.
I just wonder if the team has any idea. Like, normally when it's your player, right, you work with them and you kind of, and they might be, They might have this all worked out. If they're smart, they probably do. But I don't know if they do or not, Struddy. I don't know if it's like, hey, how long do you think you need? What are the doctors saying? What's the trajectory here? And let's make sure that the trajectory is you're cleared to play kind of, second week of April kind of thing, as opposed to last week of March, right? They're like, you can finesse this. Teams do it every year. We see it every year. The Oilers are in position to do it. But the problem is they need to know in the next 7 or 8 days here as you get towards trade deadline if it's going to be able to be finessed in that way. And I don't know if they know or not. I don't know that they don't, but I would hope, Struds, that they kind of do, wouldn't you?
I would think that if they presented a case to the league and said, Kane will not be back until whatever, sometime after the regular season, I'd have a hard time league saying, no, we don't believe you. Look at what he's been through, the number of surgeries he's had. Like, there's a lot weighing on this guy. And if he just started skating yesterday, I mean, what player can be ready in 6 weeks? I don't see it. I don't see it being, because let's say that he improves even 5-10% every week. So that means by the end of March, he's going 100%. But you're not in shape. You're still not in shape because you're going 60% right now. Like Brownie said, that's kind of what we do at our hockey academies. We're going 60% and looking good doing it, But so Sugar, I think they are knowing or they're guessing that they'll have this cap space to use on March 7th.
Yeah. Sugar, I think they know.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think they know. I think they know 100%. This is the NHL. This is Stan Bowman. This is a team that has a championship window this year. They've got the best player in the world, and they have the player having the best season in the world. This team was built for winning the Stanley Cup. They need on March 7th to know what they have. Is Evander Kane coming back? How much money do I have? Is Kane going to be able to play in the playoffs? I would think they have talked to Kane. They've talked to his agent. They've talked to the doctors. I would be absolutely shocked if Stan Bowman goes into the trade deadline with any doubt on when Evander Kane is back in the lineup.
Yep. If you're Kane, 5-6 regular season games at the end of the year to get yourself ready so you can be in the lineup at playoff time. The idea that you're just going to drop right back into playoff hockey and be usable, Struds. Do you see Chris Knobloch just being okay to doing that in a playoff game with a team that's been a pretty damn good team all year long without him? You're just going to drop him in? Like, does Kane risk not being used? If he can't get himself back and into some games, should he expect to just be dropped into the lineup at playoff time for a team that's, competed for a division without him? So in his mind, is it fair to him to be thinking, well, no, I need to get some games in before playoffs so I can do what I know I can do?
Yeah, so let's say he wants to play 5-6 games. That means he has to be ready April 7th. So that's 6. Let's just use the number 6 weeks. He's 6 weeks. He's got to be ready. He just started skating. I think that's almost impossible because he's not going to be in shape. He's not going to have worked out. Who among us is walking around us that can work out and get in shape in 6 weeks and be ready to play? Now, does it mean that in 8 weeks he'll be ready for the playoffs? Well, at least that's 2 months, So I think it's highly unlikely he gets any regular season games. Again, I have no insider knowledge. I'm just going off of what I know from the usual guys that are, coming back from long injuries that I've seen.
All
and
right.
yes, and to answer your question, yes, I do think he should be able to drop in and play in playoffs. I would at least find out because you're hoping you have 4 rounds to get him up and running, and you need a guy like that.
Yeah.
Well, Shogger, with you,
Yep.
the question you said, with the question you answered, if I'm Evander Kane, I'd want to come back and play before the season's over. I would, because I want to guarantee myself a spot in the playoffs. I want to show that I'm capable. If the Oilers they make some trades at the deadline. They go in the playoffs playing really well. They go and say, okay, we're not sure about Kane now. Let's go get a top 6 forward at the deadline. All of a sudden, Kane comes back just when the playoffs start. Oilers are playing well. Well, where are you going to put him? Where are you going to put him on the 4th line? Is he going to play 7 minutes? Evander Kane's a proud player. When he comes back, he wants to play. And Evander Kane, we know, wants to be in your top 6. So I could see Evander Kane pushing to get back before the season ended, just so that it gives him a better opportunity to prove his worth. And I know as a fan, you're like, oh no, hold off. We could use that money elsewhere. But is that money elsewhere going out and getting another player that would move Evander Kane down the lineup because he sat out to the end of the regular season? Yes.
That's the issue. If he commits to being out till the end of the year and the Oilers go grab Mikko Rantanen, like, you're not getting anywhere near the top 6, and debatable whether you'll see the top 9. So by sitting out, by kind of wink, yep, I'll see you in the playoffs, the Oilers now have the space they need to go out and find someone to do what he's hoping to come back and do. So there's some interesting dynamics here. We're assuming a fair amount. They might know. They might completely know at this point. We don't know. And listen, we'll probably be talking to Stan Bowman here in the next week or so leading up to the trade deadline after the team gets back. So we'll see where their heads are at and what they have to say about it. But interesting times as we hurtle towards the trade deadline. Let's wrap the segment with our UCAN Youth Services Relentless Player, their annual comedy night fundraiser. It's almost here. A couple of great ways you can help support youth in the community. Purchase tickets or a table for one of the unforgettable comedy nights, or donate items or experiences to be featured in the silent auction. Your support makes all the difference. To donate or grab your tickets, check them out online, ucan.ca. Struds, who are you giving the nod to today?
Well, it's a doubleheader, and give it to the Twinkies, Mitchkoff and Tippett. I thought these guys really played well today. You know, two of the best players on the ice. They were up. They were playing. Between two of them, they had 5 points. I think 3 goals. So those two guys were the difference makers on the ice for Philly today. Opportunistic.
Could add another one too, that Tippett, hey? How about a 2-on-0 on a power play? How about a 2-on-0 against on a power play, Brownie?
That's a tough
No, not good. Not good. And that, again, that's Bouchard not reading the play. I mean, you just can't get sucked over there. You are the high guy. You are your only line of defense. You can't give that up. And to go back on the relentless player that Strudy said, not only did they have 3 goals, they were plus 10 between the two of them. They, along with Couturier, were plus 15 in the game. All 3 of them were plus 5. They were excellent in this all game. And how fast is Owen Tippett? Kulak is as fast, one of the faster guys in the NHL on the back end. Tippett flew by him. The last time these two teams played in Edmonton, Tippett could have had 4 goals with Snake Pit. Tonight he was fantastic again. Great call on the relentless player.
JL says relentless player is all of us who watched the entire game. It was a bit of a slog, JL. It was definitely a bit of a slog, especially if you're an Oiler fan. Brownie, whereabouts are you right now, buddy? Are you close to being at home?
About 8 minutes.
8 minutes from home. Okay, well, let's get to break here. What are we going to do? Yeah, Zuby, when we come back, we'll just get to Brownie Points and Strudy's World, and we'll get through that while Brownie's still in the car. So quick break here, and when we come back, Brownie Points and Strudy's World. Lots ahead on Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
Join over 250,000 Canadians who have upgraded to Canada's best mattress. Douglas is proudly made in Canada and ships directly to your door for free. Douglas is easy to set up. Enjoy perfectly balanced comfort and an easy-to-clean machine-washable cover. Get a free sleep bundle with your Douglas mattress. Try risk-free for 365 nights. Get your Douglas mattress today.
At Gallery Dental, we believe in blending exceptional care with artistry to create the perfect smile for you. From routine cleanings to advanced cosmetic procedures, our team is dedicated to providing top-notch care in a relaxed and comfortable environment. With state-of-the-art technology and a passion for perfection, we ensure that every visit is a positive experience. Join the Gallery Dental family and let us help you achieve a smile that you'll love to show off. Contact us today at secolandentistry.com.
You know that music. You love the segment. You demand it. Time now for Brownie Points. Brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. If you're craving bold flavor and unbeatable quality jerky made with prime Alberta beef, look no further. Made right in our province. 13 mouth-watering flavors. And for the month of February, buy 2 pounds of jerky for $70. Get a free bonus quarter-pound mystery flavor pack. And as always, free shipping Alberta-wide. AlbertaJerky.com. is the website. Enter the code GOTYOURBACK. That'll get you an additional 10% off. Brownie, award some points, my friend.
Well, let's start with some positives. I got 41 Brownie points to Leon Draisaitl. Scored his 41st leading goal of the season, 2 points in the game. In a game where the Oilers did not play very well, I thought Leon Draisaitl was good. His season continues where he is chasing an Art Ross. He's chasing the Rocket Richard. He's chasing the Hart. He was good in this hockey game, one of the few players. His line was excellent. I got one big Brownie point to John Klingberg. First goal as an Oiler. I love the goal, but what I love more was he's putting himself in position in the offensive end zone. He's reading the plays. He knows where to be. John Klingberg was a very good offensive defenseman for a number of years in Dallas. Injury sidelined him a bit. He's playing healthy. He's playing pain-free, and hopefully he's playing himself into a spot in the Oilers' top four come playoff time. Now a bit to the ugly. I got minus six Brownie points to the Oilers' penalty-killing unit. They've given up goals they've been shorthanded in 5 straight games. In those 5 games, they've given up 6 goals. It has been leaking oil for a while. The only good thing for the Oilers is they don't take a lot of penalties because their penalty killing, Strud's favorite thing to talk about, has not been good for a little while. They have to get that shored up going forward. Next one, I'm taking away 11 Brownie points from the Oilers' defensive game. The Oilers have not been good defensively for their last 11 games. They're giving up multiple odd man chances against. Today, for example, they gave up 2 breakaways and a 2-on-0, plus a number of 2-on-1s. When this team was playing its best last year when they won 16 in a row during the playoffs, they were a very good defensive team. They were committed. They were focused. They were detailed. They have not been good defensively for 11 games at least. They've got by in some of those games because of weaker competition. They're not going to get by against the good teams if they continue to give up these breaks again. So I'm taking points away for that. In the final one, let's end up in a nice note. 22 Brownie points. One of the few bright spots in this hockey game was the play of young Matt Savoie playing in his first Oilers game. He was an Oiler fan growing up. He's playing in his hometown. He gets an assist on his fantastic forecheck. The play of Matt Savoie in this game, to me, earned him another chance in the top 6 tomorrow. So good for Matt Savoie. And that, my friend, are today's Brownie points.
Commentary on that, Struds. How did he do today?
Yeah, no, Brownie really nailed it. And I love, the Oilers are going to need Matt Savoie. I'm not sure that it means this year, like that this is his time, but I would think next year he'll be on the team. He and Philp, younger, well, in the case, maybe Philp not so young, but newer players with some fresh, younger legs. And this was a great place for him to start today.
People getting away from Brownie points here quick. Lots of people are wanting to talk about the goaltending, as they always do. We saw the way Stuart Skinner entered the break. Not great. And then comes out of the break today. Now, to be clear, Chris Knobloch said in no way does he blame Stuart Skinner at all for today. That the team defensively was that horrendous, and that in no way is he pointing a finger at Stuart Skinner. But if you dig into some of the goals, there's a bit of a theme there, and that is Skinner moving left to right to left, laterally across the crease. That this is a weakness that kind of continues to show its head, and we saw it a few times today. Brownie, where are you today on Skinner and where this conversation is as we head towards trade deadline?
I'm the same as where I was. He needs to be better. The team in front of him needs to be better. I don't believe the Oilers are going to make a move. I think he has the faith of the coaching staff, the team, the general manager. I don't know if there's a trade to be made to get you something that is clearly better without giving up everything you have. I don't fault him on the goals today. But the Stuart Skinner, along with all of his teammates, have to be better if this other team wins the Stanley Cup. They need, like we just said, they needed Evan Bouchard of the playoffs. Well, you need Stuart Skinner of the finals to start playing the way that he did, where he's taking goals away. None of the ones that scored on him today were goals that were saves he should have had, but they need to see more saves that he shouldn't have had, because right now the Oilers need that kind of save because they're leaking chances against.
Strudy, anything to add to that?
No, my position's the same. He's He's their guy. They'll fix up other parts, and I do think this team is going to elevate.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. That was Brownie Points brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. Okay, let's get to Strudy's World, shall we? Roll the intro, Zoops.
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy.
Gotta look good.
Oh, yes. And built a tremendous intro for our new Strudy's World show. Wednesdays from 12 to 1 o'clock Mountain Time. There'll be a second edition coming up this Wednesday. I wonder, Zuby, if we should start running that full intro for people during the pod. You did such a beautiful job of it. It's a shame to use it only once a week. Are you open to that, Zuby?
Sure, of course. Or we could do an abridged version of the new one.
Yeah. It's such a good job. You did just an amazing job of that. And for anybody who missed the first show, it went swimmingly, no major disasters. Zuby and Strudy worked together wonderfully. So we're totally pumped to have added that to our lineup. If you haven't heard about it yet, got your back, Strudy's World, Wednesday, 12 to 1 o'clock. It's here on the YouTube channel live, but it also has its own podcast feed. So if you want to subscribe to that podcast feed, it will automatically drop onto your phone if you are a subscriber. So just search Strudy's World on any of your podcast platforms and you will find it. With that in mind, it's time for our mini Strudy's World, brought to you by Timberhouse. If you're tired of those dull cookie cutter houses, Timberhouse is looking to shake things up. Their designs harness the power of natural light to brighten your days and lift your spirits, because life is too short for ordinary houses and dull living. Let them build you a place where laughter and good times are part of the blueprint. Visit timberhouse.ca. Struts?
You know, as you get older, I don't want to be that guy that people say, you know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I tried, I know the knitting, I've done different things. And most of these are hobbies I've picked up. But I'm here to tell you I've broken through on a new plane on the culinary side of it. I love beets. I love beets. I want to hear it. I want to scream from the rooftops. It's slowly been coming. I remember as a youth, as a young guy, I didn't like them at all. I would go out of the way. I didn't want them. And then, you know, sometimes in, you know, the toilet, you look like you murdered someone, but I couldn't do it. And then I started liking borscht. I started getting into it. And now, guys, I was out last night and it wasn't a beet salad, but beets were like the main dish or vegetable in the dish. They are incredible. And so I'm with you, Dwight Schrute. I love beets, and I'm going to actively try to incorporate them more into my diet, and we all should, because I love the beets, buddy. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. I don't believe it. Not for this guy.
Joe Dokes says, love them, bursting with antioxidants, Strud. So there's a health component to this as well. Now, to clarify, I too love beets. I don't love cooked beets. I love the cold, raw, pickled beets. Yep, those are the ones I'm good with, is the pickled beets. So good. Brownie?
Well, I love the fact that he threw in an office reference there with Dwight. I like that. There's zero chance I'm ever going to eat a beet in my life. They look gross. They smell gross. Not a chance. I go to Subway and I don't put vegetables on my sub. I'm certainly not going to eat a beet. So, yeah, you know, I agree with a lot of your things you say, Struds, but I'm certainly not going to eat a beet salad at any point in the next 3 to 12 years that I got left on this earth.
Somebody said oxalate poisoning. Beets Diplomatico says oxalate poison. I don't want to start spreading fake news here. What are oxalates, and are they? Anybody know what an oxalate is? Or is that not good for you? Somebody questioning the health. Talk to your doctor before anything, folks. We don't want to be responsible for any advice here. Talk to your doctor before eating using any of Strudwick's beet recipes. Struds, how are you cooking with them? How are you using them? How creative are you getting with them? What are you doing?
Yeah. So thus far in my new joy of loving the beets, I haven't cooked at them at all. It's just when I go to restaurants. Like I had a beet salad. I forget where it was a couple, maybe a month ago. And then last time, like I said, these were the side dish. They were so good. So now I want to incorporate them. The problem is they do sting the digits. You know, the beet juice is quite a strong stainer, right up there with the blueberry juice. So you got to be careful how you do it. But you know what? This makes me want to look at ways to cook beets and put them on there, because I think they're so delicious. Love them, guys.
So oxalates, by the way, are naturally occurring compounds in plants. If you're prone to kidney stones or have kidney disease, you may go low oxalates. But for most people, the benefits of nutrient-dense, high oxalate foods outweigh their risks. And Brownie, I got to say, if you're going to Subway just for a bun and cold cuts, you can do that at home, buddy. The veggies is the reason you go. You don't have all those chopped veggies in your fridge. If you're getting a bun and cold cuts, you can do that at home, bud.
Yeah. I agree.
I love the way they make my Subway milk. It's delicious.
Oh, jeez.
Can we get an analysis on the potential effects of gout sufferers? Can we WebMD that? Are beets detrimental to those out there? Not talking about anyone specific that might have issues with gout. Wondering about that one. 5 out of 5 Babas agree with Strud, says Captain.
There we go.
Bass. I love the Babas. Gout is terrible, says Emma Terry. Yes.
Beets are generally considered to be slightly beneficial for people with gout. While they do contain moderate amounts of oxalates, the main dietary culprit, they are low in purines. I might be saying that wrong. The main dietary culprit behind gout, purines behind gout flare-ups.
Maverick also chiming in and saying beets are an aphrodisiac. So now we know why Struds is feeding them to Shona nonstop. This nonstop flow of beets into her and his diet all of a sudden, Struddy.
Not that she needs them, but have you seen me lately?
Struddy's World, brought to you by Timber Haas Developments. Oh boy. Hey, if that doesn't earn us a thumbs up, you got to throw us a thumbs up on the stream for that one. Okay, Brownie, I guess we'll cut you loose, buddy. Short shift for you today. So we'll cut you loose, pal, and we'll chat again real soon.
Sounds good. I'm going to go make some beats right now. Thanks, Struds.
No, you're not.
Beat him up.
That is a complete lie. That is a complete lie. We'll see you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm going to go have a hot dog. Bye.
Okay, let's squeeze one more segment in here before we take a break. Zuby, let's get to our core blue liners, brought to you by HSE Core Services. So if you're a small to medium-sized business, they've got your back when it comes to health and safety compliance. They create and manage a tailored health and safety program for you that'll meet all legislation and core requirements. They support clients' operations every single step of the way. Visit www.hsecor.com. That's hsecor.com for more information. Struds, who are we focusing on today?
For the core blue liners, we're going to go with Travis Sanheim.
Did you have Sanheim? Yeah, I think you had Sanheim. Yeah.
Yes, Travis Sanheim, right? So Sanheim out of Philadelphia. Now, he's been on my radar, obviously. It's a little bit biased because he was with Team Canada. We were watching him there. And then we got to see him play today. So this is kind of our scouting report over the last number of, week and a half. I remember the first time I saw him play, he was for the Calgary Hitmen, and I had no idea who he was. And I think I was there with someone who was in the hockey. He's like, you got to watch this guy. Well, it took me about 2 seconds to realize that this guy's a player. Big, if you're not familiar with him, he's big, pretty mobile, and he skates pretty well. But what I like about him, Schauger, is he makes a pretty good first pass, but he's in the way, and he's always in the way. And there was a rush that I think Connor McDavid had today, and he was in the way. And so when I say he's in the way, that means his positioning is good. He understands where to be on the ice and how to do it. But he's long, he's big, he's in the way, skates well, makes plays. His offensive numbers aren't too shabby. But I really like him, and I know there was talk. I think it was earlier this year or last year about moving him off that team in Philly, and I think that'd be a real mistake because these big guys don't come around that play like this. So Travis Sanheim, yeah, I really like him. I like his game.
So I had some people ask me, one person in particular on my travel day home, what did you think of Sanheim at the tournament? And, I thought there was a time after Harley's first game, I thought they would give Harley the nod ahead of Sanheim in the next game. I kind of felt like maybe he had outplayed him and earned his spot. But if you think back to that, the final game and most of the nights that Sanheim had, I would say it took him some adjusting, but he kind of got himself to a point where I didn't really notice him much, Struds. Is that I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, I think when he's on that stage playing that caliber, if you don't really notice him, he's probably doing what he's there to do.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think that, you're trying to teach young D men or really any D men that are kind of moving their way up. You don't have to have a hero shift every shift. There's some shifts it's okay that nothing happens. You can play 10 shifts in a row. All you do is you're good defensively, move the puck up, and you go stand on the offensive blue line, move in and out, and nothing really happens. And that's what they want. That's what coaches want, because not everyone can be Cale Makar, but you can be a guy who's a low event defenseman in both ends of the ice, and they love your 20 minutes. And I think that's a fair way of representing Sanheim at the highest level. Now, he wasn't alone. There's a lot of players that were just like, they were happy to have low event at the highest of high levels. But I think with his team at home, the Flyers, he can bring, you can take more chances, just like all the guys can.
All right, that was Core Blue Liners, brought to you by HSE Core Services. All right, we're going to get to a scoreboard here, but we're going to do it a little bit differently because a lot of afternoon games on the schedule, and anybody who listens to this even tonight or after today, the scoreboard isn't going to make any sense. So we'll get to it in just a second here. It's brought to you by Canadian Club, the all-new CC Classic, 18-year-old high proof. We've been telling you about it all year. It's great stuff. 58%, their highest proof Canadian Club Classic to date, is a full-bodied whiskey with aromas of caramel, toffee, spicy vanilla, and rich oak with a butterscotch finish. So we're going to dial in on the Edmonton Oilers a little bit more for our scoreboard segment here, Struds, and we're going to examine this road trip that they are on. So you come back from the break, you got back-to-backs against the Flyers and the Washington Capitals. You've got the Tampa Bay Lightning sitting there. You've got the Florida Panthers and then the Carolina Hurricanes. This is not an easy road trip. They're playing three of the top teams in the Eastern Conference here, Struds, and they're looking to rebound now off not a great start.
Out of the 10 points, I thought if they got 5, that'd be pretty decent, considering they're coming off the break, tough teams to play, and now they have 8 points left to get 5. So that really ratchets it up, the points you have to get. And these teams are good. They're a really good group of teams that are playing, and the traveling's pretty extensive and pretty quick. So they got to find their game in a hurry. Now, I think there'll be big improvement from yesterday to today just because it's your second game. I really do feel that way. Even Connor McDavid, we haven't touched on him. I thought Connor looked like a guy who just played in a really intense tournament and was coming back to this, this being his normal team. Quite honestly, I think a day off might not have been the worst thing for him to get in this situation.
Question for you on the goaltending front. So obviously Pickard's going to get the start tomorrow against the Washington Capitals. If Pickard plays well, like goes in and plays well, you probably got to start him against Tampa, right? So then I would ask you this. If you think yes to that, the game after that is the defending Stanley Cup champions. Is there a universe, if Calvin Pickard grabs this thing tomorrow, that we see him go on a run of a few starts here?
I'm going to go the same thing you said with Bouchard. You mentioned earlier that you lean into Bouchard. I think you lean into Skinner. I truly feel that way.
Tampa. You give him the Tampa game regardless of Pickard?
No matter what. And then you see what happens. I don't think he was that bad today. And I know they're all over some of us for saying that. The team was very loose defensively in front of him. And I don't think it's fair to judge a goalie on a night like that because the chances against are so unpredictable. So yes, Pickard tomorrow. Yes. The third game of the road trip would be Skinner. And then maybe after that, you see how he's feeling and go back to him. And then the last game would be Pickard.
Yeah, you got an interesting decision to make there against the Florida Panthers. We're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll see how it goes. That was our scoreboard brought to you by Canadian Club Whiskey. Okay, we're going to take a break. Coming up in our next segment, there's been a lot of discussion over the last few weeks, month I'll say, and in particular the last few days, about Wayne Gretzky. We don't get super political on this podcast, and this isn't really meant to be a political discussion necessarily. There's a lot of chatter out there about an iconic player in this franchise, in this city, in this country, and it feels a little bit weird to just completely ignore it. So Struds and I are going to weigh in with some of our thoughts on all the things going on around 99 right now. That's coming up in Take a Lap. And then we've also got Take a Trip, potential trade bait. And we're dealing with a player that could have some consequence to the Edmonton Oilers. Then we got Ask Us Anything as well in our Play of the Day. Our Play of the Day is awesome if you haven't seen it yet. So lots to stick around for here on Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
With over 18 years in the industry, Kelly Zaretsky and her team at Blue Summit Accounting deliver client-focused solutions and financial guidance for success in a simple and comfortable way. Whether it's for corporate or personal needs, Blue Summit Accounting can help with taxes, estate planning, financial services, bookkeeping, and more. Get in touch today. Email bluesummitacct@gmail.com or call 780-416-9662.
Ready to go all in this season? Mr. Dirk's got you covered with express on-site tailoring, a wide selection of craftsman-made suits, sport coats, and casual staples for every occasion. Score big with Mr. Dirk. We've always got your back. Visit us off White Ave, south of 102nd Street, or browse online at mrdirk.com.
All right, time now to take a lap, brought to you by Acon. If you're a skilled tradesperson or construction professional looking for work in Western Canada, they definitely want to hear from you because they're looking. They have jobs. Skilled tradespeople and construction professionals, they've got space for you. Start building what matters today with one of Canada's original industrial contractors. Join their team by sending your resume, trades@acon.com. That is trades@acon.com. They have openings and are looking for quality people. They're certainly a quality company. Okay, Strudy, there are two main topics with which Gretzky has been taking some criticism here in the last little bit. We're going to deal with them very separately. The most recent was at the Four Nations when he appeared, brought on as Canada's representative before the game. And I see a lot of criticism online because he came out by the U.S. bench and walked by the U.S. team. Wasn't wearing any Team Canada garb, which, whatever. I don't believe Mario was in Montreal either. He kind of gave a thumbs up to the U.S. bench, right? I see people talking about him not really acknowledging the Canadian bench or walking past the Canadian bench. And just this feeling like it wasn't great optics for Gretzky, considering the other topic, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. But I'm going to tell you this, Struds. I was there. Wayne Gretzky would not decide where he came out of, right? Coming out next to the U.S. bench, there's a hallway there. The only way to come out the Canada bench, you have to actually go through the locker room. There was no carpet in front of the Team Canada bench for him to walk past them. It wasn't organized that way. He would have had to go walking in his dress shoes on the ice to go walking by the Canada bench and high-fiving those players. So my thought is on this one, I don't think the criticism on this front is fair about that optic of him, giving the thumbs up to the U.S. players and walking past their bench. I think people are conflating the two together, and the criticism on that element to me is a little ridiculous.
Yeah, your last point is exactly it. If one hadn't happened, then this one would be a big deal. But Wayne Gretzky, he's a gracious, classy guy. So yeah, he's going to give the guys a thumbs up. Like, have a good game. Like, when have we ever seen Wayne Gretzky, like, hope you guys are shitty tonight? Like, no, he's not going to do that. That's not Wayne Gretzky. Yeah, he's competitive when he played, but now he's a gracious ambassador for the game of hockey. So I took this as a non-issue, completely as a non-issue. Talking and knowing what that setup is like in that Boston Bruins dressing room, not dressing room, the visitors' dressing room.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll kind of put that one on the shelf. Now, the other one is bigger picture, right? And it's been tumultuous the last number of months. And Gretzky has made it clear, there's a few social media channels. There have been some Instagram posts, not necessarily directly from him, but clearly, posing for pictures that were used for social media. He was at the inauguration, had the MAGA hat on. It's very clear, where his political affiliations are in the United States. It's a country he's lived in for a really long time here. But I think what happens, Struds, and when someone with a platform the size of his, when those things go public, And then there is this very pointed conflict between the person that he is supporting and the country from which he is from. And whether it's tariffs, whether it's 51st state stuff, I think a lot of frustrated Canadians look at high-profile Canadians who have thrown their support in his direction, and they kind of feel like they want answers. Like, what do you say now? You're from here. And do you still feel that way? And do you still support? I think people's feelings here are pretty beat up and pretty bruised up about what's going on with our neighbors to the south. And with that alignment that Gretzky has sort of made clear there, I think he definitely opens himself up to some of that. And I would never advocate for anybody to be mean or disrespectful or crappy. But I think in a way, he's kind of opened himself up to some of that, Struds.
He's one of the most beloved Canadians of all time. I'm going to miss some, but I believe, in my opinion, Terry Fox is my favorite Canadian of all time. He was an incredible what he accomplished. And then there's Wayne Gretzky and others underneath him. Now that's more in the sporting world. I know there's others, but that's kind of my group. So we feel like Terry's ours, Wayne Gretzky's ours, but Gretzky has moved to the States. That's where he lives. Gretzky's around that environment down there. And I think it hurts people who live in Canada's and Canadians' feelings when we see, something that we, the perceived enemy is doing something new, and Gretzky seems to be aligning himself with that type of thought. So I think your feelings are hurt. But these are athletes. This isn't, this isn't the prime minister of our country. He can choose to do what he wants. He's an athlete, just like an actor can, just like a businessman can. And so you might not have to like it. You can still like what he did as an athlete. But these people have other thoughts away from the sporting world. So yeah, you don't have to agree with it, but I mean, it doesn't make him any less of an athlete here. And what he accomplished for Canada, and I was a great ambassador for hockey. But people, even some of you, you always start talking with your best friends. You're like, what'd you say? And it could be about anything, political. And you're like, what? Is that real? Like, are you really feel that way? And it's a surprise. So I think people are caught off guard, and I think it hurts their feelings.
For sure. And I think, like what's gone on between the two countries, and we're not going to speak for everybody here. Like, everyone's going to have their own feelings on this. But I personally sort of have this feeling like, holy smokes, man, like we've been pretty good wingers for them for a long time, like you feel like, yeah, there's some differences, but man, as countries go, we're pretty tight. And then when their leader starts doing that kind of stuff, you kind of go, whoa, like I don't think people like feeling like they've been betrayed by somebody that they felt like they were tight with. And you want people to be kind of outraged for you. And I got to say, I was just down in the States, man, the number of Americans that were talking to us as Canadians saying like, dude, we feel terrible about this. I mean, they just feel awful about it. Right. And there's lots of them. I had lots of those conversations. But when somebody's thrown their support behind the guy, and it's the singular guy that is doing that to us as a nation, you definitely open yourself up to people kind of going, hey, what do you think about it now? Do you still support him in the same way? You're from here, you made your living here for the most part. Do you still have those feelings, or do you have sympathy? Because he's public about his support, I think some would like to say, well, can you be public about your feelings now that it's gone this way? And I think he's opened himself up a little bit to some of that criticism. And I understand those out there that feel that way. But to your point, Struds, it doesn't take anything away from what he accomplished and, what he meant to the game and all those sorts of things. I understand that there are going to be feelings on all sides of this. So I think we can probably leave it there unless you got anything else to add, buddy. It's one of those things that feels a little bit weird not to talk about at all as an Oiler-centric pod, and he is the Oiler of all time, and this is very public right now. So I weighed this one out a little bit and decided, we'll deal with it and move on. Anything else?
No, I'm good. That ties it up.
All right. We had some signings, right? You wanted to get to as well as the back half of Take a Lap. Anything significant there? Like Lankinen got done, which what's up with Demko, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the big one. I mean, Messikov signed a 2-year extension with Winnipeg, and he's the second, third line center there. Probably they'll trade for a second line center. But Kevin Lankinen to me is a really interesting one. Signed a very modest deal late in summer. And Demko's had a lot of challenges with injuries. So I believe he has 1 or 2 years left, Demko, and this was a 3-year extension for Lankinen. And I wonder what this means for Demko's future. with that team. And quite frankly, the NHL, because he's had so many injuries. And you need to be able to trust that your goalie is going to play 80, 90% of the games. That he's, you know what I mean, or be available for 80, 90% of the games and play as many as whatever it is. So this to me is they're protecting themselves on the back end, but it's clear to me they like Lankinen, and now they're going to figure out what does happens to him in the short and long term.
Man, Vancouver Struds.
Yeah.
Think about where they were at when they took on the Oilers and almost beat them last year. You know what I mean? Like, think about that and where they are now in this Pettersson mess, and Miller's gone, and what's going on with Demko. Like, it is just, what is going on, man? It's just turned into a tire fire.
Yeah. They have a lot of things to work through, including Pettersson. It sounds like Quinn Hughes is not playing tonight, according to Rick Talk, I believe, and Pettersson's a game time decision. Like, they have a lot going on in that group.
All right, sounds good. That was taking a lap, brought to you by our friends over at Acon. Just checking it out here. What do we got left? Oh, we got Alberta Blue Cross left. Yeah, let's talk a little trade deadline.
Yeah.
It's like a quick shift in focus coming out of the Four Nations, and then everybody regrouping and going, oh, yeah, got a trade deadline coming. So let's see who might be taking a trip. Brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. If you're planning a trip, don't forget travel insurance. They got your back with emergency medical care, cancellations, lost baggage, and more. They've completely got you covered when you go out on the road. So visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more. Struds, let's talk about a defenseman. Maybe before Klingberg arrived, Oiler fans had really, really high on their list. I'm not sure if Klingberg changes that or not, but a good player.
Yeah, he is a good player, and he's been around for 700 games or more. And I'm going to go with Connor Murphy. This year, next year at $4.4 million. He's 31, so he's still got some miles left here on what's going on. I guess, where does he fit in to a team that trades for him, right? He's pretty physical. He's very big. He's lanky. He's not awful. On a bad team, his goals for and against aren't terrible. His goal share is not bad considering where he's at. He kills penalties. Not really a power play guy. Right shot D, so those are always good to have. And when I'm looking at this team, the Blackhawks specifically, there's talk now that maybe Seth Jones and Blackhawks are working together to get a deal done. If he gets traded, does that mean it's more likely that Murphy gets traded? I'm not sure. I think my gut tells me less because they need someone there to at least hold on, or they're just going to completely tank for the rest of this year. But then maybe we're moving Seth. Let's get this guy out the door now. Some team will have him for 2 playoff runs, and that'll make it worthwhile. Interesting to reflect back on the trade that sent Jake McCabe to the Leafs. If you remember, they kept half of their contract, which I still don't understand. It was like the best deal they could give Toronto, and it's worked out well for Toronto. So maybe teams will be calling saying, hey, I'm willing to keep half on Connor. So good player, good D, but as always, it's more complicated than just, do you like this player? Do you want to trade from? There's other things swirling around that Hawk team.
I'd be interested in Connor Murphy. So the guy's been in the league full-time since 13-14, basically. He has played 9 playoff games. Phoenix, Arizona, Chicago, the rest of the way. He has played 9 playoff games. I saw him at a world championship, and I thought he was good there. I thought he was really good there, and those are meaningful games. That's the level goes up, and I thought he functioned well at that tournament and on that team. I would be interested to see if the Connor Murphy you'd get on a contender is maybe there's a little more than what, I mean, he's a good defenseman, but if maybe there isn't even a little bit more there, Struds, if he would lean into it and you see something from him. I don't want to say Kulak. Like, Kulak had playoff experience before as well, so that's maybe a bad example. But I think sometimes these guys just year after year after year after year after year of going through the motions, when you ignite that for them, I think maybe there's another level there. And I can't help but wonder if Murphy's one of those players because he has the skill set.
It gets beat down. You get beat down, man. Like, and people don't want to hear that, but you do. Yeah. I look at him. I like the player. His age is not a factor. The money isn't really a big factor. He's $4.4 million. So you're not talking about a $10 million trade like Carlson. But I honestly think the Seth Jones, I think it affects the trade of Connor Murphy because you have to have somebody there. Someone has to be there. So let's assume Seth Jones traded Sunday at 6:00. Does that drive the price up or down of Connor Murphy? I think it would make it more expensive because now you're trading away somebody else who's a veteran D-man. Like, what are you leaving Connor Bedard? Like, what is he thinking? He's looking around saying, who am I playing with? Who are the people I'm playing with back here?
Yeah, great point. Will Connor Murphy be taking a trip? We shall see here in the next couple of weeks. That was brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. Zuby, why don't you hop in here, buddy? Let's wrap up the old poll. Brought to you by DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center. Buds, what do we got?
Okay, we asked which current Flyers player would you most want to see the Oilers add at the deadline? Probably not a huge surprise, but Travis Konechny wins this one at 39%. Nobody for me, thanks. Came in second. That surprises me a little bit at 30% because lots of people have talked about this next guy, Rasmus Ristolainen. He came in at 23% and only 6% for Scott Laughton, and over 150 votes here on an afternoon Saturday postgame.
All right, and thank you for all of the contributions. We appreciate everybody that's jumped in with us. Rory Smith says beets are a natural nitric oxide enhancer, aka pre-workout. Good for Struddy who actually lifts. Maybe it helps on the elliptical. So thank you, Rory, for your thought process on that. I'll let you know. Hey, buddy, I got a good 45-minute earmarked for later today. I've had this one on the schedule for a couple of days. When I got home, I was going to lean into it when I get home, man, and I'm going to crush 45 mins on the elliptical while throwing on an episode on the big screen downstairs. I bet you I'm going to burn 500 to 700 calories, Struds. It's going to be something.
Really? Maybe you ever maybe you should lift the elliptical. Lift the elliptical a couple times. Like, get a little bit of, I think as we age, we have to lift weights still to kind of keep that some strength. So I hope there's a lift at least somewhere in there.
I saw Louis DeBrusque before the break on the day of the Oilers' last game at home, and his legs were killing him. And he said that he has put a special focus on his leg workouts recently because he said your legs are longevity. Yeah. So in other words, if you want to stay healthy and youthful into your older age, like you and Louis are getting into, Struds, legs are everything. Do you agree?
Yeah, but I think Louis must have just discovered there are a squat machine and other things in the gym because I've seen him pec deck, arm curls, and tricep dips. That's what he's been doing for 30 years. You can tell him I said that, everybody.
Oh, yeah. I'll be texting him, Zuby, let's clip that and let's send it to me, and I will send it directly to the cell phone of Louis DeBrusque, and we'll, I know he's Sportsnet, so we can't give him too much airtime over here, but interested to hear what he might have to say about that one. All right, let's hear what you have to say, shall we? In our Ask Us Anything segment. Had lots of good contributions today. Brought to you by Mortgages by Maria. Bank of Canada keeps on dropping those rates, right? The spring real estate market's heating up, so it's a great time to talk to an experienced mortgage specialist like Maria Gallus with Maximal Mortgages. Contact her, mortgagesbymaria.ca, for all of your mortgage needs. Zuby?
Okay, I know you made a special point to talk about Stu Skinner, but it's still a big topic in the stream. So there's a couple other of angles that maybe we can go at this from. I know we're already long, so maybe we could just zip through a couple Skinner ones.
Do it. Let the people have their say.
Ross Creek Nasty says, what do you make of Stu's poor record versus top 10 teams? I know when Gregor was on, he went after this a little bit. We won't lay it out. We will, because there's conflicting numbers because who's a top 10 team right now versus when he played them or whatever. But it's not good. So what do you make of his play against the higher level teams, and how concerning is it, Struddy?
When I saw him in the playoffs last year, he had some tough games, but he had 4 pretty good rounds. So those were also good teams. And I would put that above his record against top 10 teams this year because it was a high pressure situation.
Yeah, I don't know where his numbers are at right now because obviously he didn't bounce back here today. But I think through a lot of the season, he'd shown he was pretty good at bouncing back again. His numbers generally coming off of losses. Thing is, you get into a playoff series and you got the same team over and over and over again. It's that one opponent. So, when you're playing an NHL regular season, all of a sudden, a really good team gets dropped on you when maybe your game is, trending in a certain direction here or there. So they're more one-offs during the regular season, but they are games that he should be able to get up for and recognize. So I think it's a fair criticism, but it doesn't mean that he can't carry you through a playoff series. Again, I'll point to him out-dueling Jake Ottinger in a conference final. That doesn't just go away because he drops a game against the Florida Panthers during the regular season.
Okay, getting specific, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Mellotron said, whatever you want to assign blame to Skinner or not for this particular game, one thing, in his opinion, is objectively true. He has the lateral movement of a creaky 45-year-old man with bad hips, and teams know it. I said to him, you can just call me by name. You don't have to try to sugarcoat it like that.
You got Zuby's lateral movement? That's
yeah.
a little harsh.
But I guess what I wanted to get to there is, Strudy, are things like that, if lateral movement is seen as a problem, are they talking about that pregame, the other teams, we got to get this guy moving, that's where goals are scored? Would that be on the board?
So there'd be a sheet on the wall talking about the other team does, their tendencies, maybe specific players. Then there's always something about the goalie, glove hand, low blocker. And then if it's side to side, then side to side. So there'll be no surprises for the guys on the other teams. They know how to beat a guy and how to make him suffer in there.
Interesting comment here from Thaddeus Stewart. Says fans also never take into account off-ice stuff. Didn't the Skinners just have a baby? Newborn phase in the middle of an NHL season is a gauntlet. I think that's a fair comment. And they're supposed to be professionals and be able to work their way through that. But that still is very real stuff. You don't necessarily give him a pass for all of it, but I think that's a fair comment. But lateral movement, Struds, for sure, that's a scouting report on Skinner. Get him moving. I mean, you'll see teams all the time passing up straight up shots for lower percentage passes to get him moving.
Yeah, and I've heard from goalie coaches I know that talk about that it's his lateral movement that is something he has to work on. His push. I think specifically the push.
Thaddeus says, thanks, Shoggy. We have number 3 on the way, and I'm not in the NHL and already tired. Yes, you know the feeling, Thaddeus. Zuby, can we move on from the goaltending? Have we given it enough?
One more. There's one more because we have to talk about this because Ray and Dregs yesterday, Dregs was reporting that apparently now that Binnington is in play. He says, Nick Biskupek says Binnington is 100% an upgrade with cup experience and confidence to the room. I might add to that the way he plays the puck. So just kind of a straight up, would you see Binnington as an upgrade on Skinner? If as a replacement, I can't imagine they'd be adding him in tandem with Skinner. Is he an upgrade on Skinner, Shogger?
Well, I mean, Stuart, he's gotten to the same game and won it, right? So, he has done that. He just performed extremely well in a high-pressure situation this year. So from a big game, winning it all standpoint, yes, he would be one of the guys that you would consider an upgrade. In terms of the game-to-game consistency level, the game-to-game, knowing what you're going to get, and the penchant for giving up a bad one, I would say not necessarily game to game. Would you feel a lot better about your goaltending with Jordan Binnington in there? The only thing that gives him the edge is his puck moving ability, which I think helped Team Canada and I think helps him. I don't know that it's enough to forego making improvements elsewhere, though. Struds?
Yeah, you nailed it. Everything you said is 100% accurate. And also, I would have loved to have this conversation Thursday at 3:00 before that game because Oilers fans, you would not have been saying this. We've been doing pods, and I see let's change Binghamton, put in Aiden Hill, Montembeault. Where's Logan Thompson? Now, suddenly you want to get the guy you didn't want before. You got to be consistent.
The other thing this smells a little bit like, and look, Dreg's information is as good as anybody's, but if I'm Doug Armstrong and he just did that, I might be going, let's test the waters. Yeah, I'm open to discussion. Let's test the waters a little bit because you never know. After him doing that, you'd be selling pretty high on a guy you haven't been able to sell high on for a while. Smells like sage veteran GMing to me.
Yeah, that's exactly where Dregs was coming from on that one. Okay, we'll close the book on that. I know we're long here. I got 2 more that we can get to.
Oh, we are long.
Thaddeus Stewart says, for Ask Us Anything, the Oil often play the puck back into the corner after getting possession along the half board. Is this a possession analytics thing? Feels like it leads to turnovers often. We touched on this a tiny bit because that's almost the exact play kind of that the Bouchard giveaway came from. But if that's a common play for them, what's the What's the basis of that, Struds?
So are they talking about the offensive zone?
I'm guessing.
It's
I think
defensive zone.
it means defensively.
Well, in a perfect world, you don't want to go from the half wall, then back into your end. We just got it up to you. Like, I know as a D-man, I didn't like it when I passed it up to you, and now you're passing it back to me. I didn't want it in the first place. I want you to go up with it. So usually that tells me that they're not fighting for or ready for a play to be made on that wall. So I don't like that. No, I do not like that at all. And
Unless it's a total pressure release valve. Unless the D-man's crashing in on you, the center's over there. Sometimes, Struds, that's a better play than just forcing it into a set of shin pads up the wall. If you know your D-man's there, playing it back neatly to him, I think is okay.
But I just fought my way out of the corner, and now I'm passing it up to you to relieve the pressure, and you're passing it back to me, so now I'm back on it. What I would suggest is this.
If you're covered, yeah. But, sometimes going back to the D as a calm outlet, not everybody is petrified to get the puck on their stick with 2 or 3 players in the offensive zone, Struds.
But I just grinded it out. I just got it up to you. So what I would suggest is this. As a winger, if you get it, hold on to it. Just hold on to it there. Don't throw me. I just got it to you. Don't throw me a puzzle I got to put back together now when you give it to me. And most often, just think about it. Would a winger pass it back to you if he had time? No, he's doing it because he's under pressure and he's taking the easy way out and giving you a grenade to try to put the pin back in and make another play when you're the guy who was just on you was already on you still.
I hope none of your children are wingers. Like, will they be invited for Christmas dinners or no?
No, none of them want to be D-men. I mean, it's hard to live up to your dad. Big shoes to fill for sure.
All right, Zumi, one more, and then we got to get out of here. We're so long.
Okay, last one. Lots to talk about Bouchard. Shogger, you said, lean into him. Mellotron says, and a few people said this, I wonder when we start having the conversation about some PP1 adjustments. It's been pretty horrendous a lot of games. Bouchard still notably no power play goal. Klingberg's offense, he doesn't have a bomb like Bouchard, but his offense seems to be rounding into form. When does that come into, or even as like a Bouchard, instead of sitting him for a game, they say, we're taking you off PP1. Does that conversation start happening, Struddy? Oh,
yeah, definitely not after the first game after the break. I actually thought the power play wasn't bad tonight. Other than giving up a 2-on-0, I thought they were moving. The movement I liked. I liked
other
the
than
movement.
Giving up the 2-on-0, near goal.
2-on-0. Yeah, other than the 2-on-0, other than that, I thought it was great. But no, I thought there was movement. We got to let this breathe. I think it's unlikely we'll see a move anytime soon.
That's what I was saying. Lean into him next game. And if he's still struggling, lean into him the game after that. And then you got to evaluate and say, okay, what's the problem here? And if you need to start making some adjustments, I don't know that I would say automatically that it's Klingberg, though. I think it needs to make sense to people. And I think if there's one player whose game has been in a place pretty consistently for a while, who's shown he can do it before, that I might want to give a little bit of flowers to for the way he's been. And again, today, on a day where you're badly outshot, he's in the positives on the Corsi front. Darnell Nurse has done that before. So I wouldn't rule out, if there is a change, leaning that way. Now, I know Ekholm is there and Klingberg is there, but I might want to send that message to Darnell Nurse. You're going to play like this for us, then yeah, we believe in you as this player too. Struds, you?
Yes, but I think I'd rather have kind of our defined role. So I might go to Klingberg first.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see if it happens, or if Evan Bouchard rides a power play lightning right to the end. That was Ask Us Anything, brought to you by Mortgages by Maria. 103 minutes. I'm not sure how many thumbs up we got, but bang some in there for us, because we're going overtime here on what was supposed to be a short Saturday afternoon. Let's wrap it up with our play of the day. Brought to you by Gallery Dental. Take the first step towards a stress-free dental experience, providing modern dentistry for today's patient with the most up-to-date dentistry, sedation implants, and so much more. Contact GalleryDentalYEG.com. So, Struddy, here's the storyline on this. The Kachucks, and by the way, we haven't really had much of a chance to talk about this Kachuk chat group thing between the two Kachucks and JT Miller. Like, what was your feeling on that, Struds?
No, I think it's good. I think it's great for the game. I mean, there's chat groups all over the place.
No, but the chat group. What about that chat group? The hey, let's start fights, guys. What about that chat group? What do you think?
Well, I think it's fine. Like, would you expect, whether they say it verbally or send it on text, you knew that they were going to communicate about it in some way.
Okay, but can I just make one observation about it? So you start a chat group with your teammates and it's like, hey, let's get the ball rolling. Let's get physical. Let's rock and roll. And you're Matthew Tkachuk and you're like, I'm going to go at their second smallest guy. Like, you plan this thing out so that your big act of bravery and your big act of getting momentum is to go after a guy that never fights and is smaller than you. Like, how is that a thing? You know what I mean? Well, if you're going to do it and if you're ready to dig in, go get somebody. Don't take the guy that's smaller than you that never fights. How is that like a way to go thing?
But who's the guy? Who's the guy on that team that would be that guy? Like, there wasn't many choices, really. Like, go through the forwards. So. You're not fighting your teammate. Who?
Yeah.
You're like, who?
I mean, Parayko.
Well, Parayko did fight later, but as a D-man, off the draw, you need to find someone. And he also wasn't on the ice. So no Sid, no McKinnon, no McDavid, no Braden Point, no Cirelli. Like, you can't find your teammate in Bennett. Like, there's not a lot of options there. Like, Stone, maybe. I guess maybe Stone.
I don't know. It just seems odd to me. Like, hey, guys, I'm going to take him, the guy that's, 20 pounds lighter. And then even Brady took on a guy that's a lot smaller than him. And I give my headset unplugged.
Sam Bennett might have been the toughest guy.
Credit. That was a big bite for JT Miller, but that whole chat group thing was funny. And the fact that they told the media about it, like that too, after the fact that they let it out there, like, yeah, here's what we did, which I won't complain about. I'm a media guy. So then, of course, the response from Hagel is, we don't need chat groups. And then Tkachuk responds and says, well, maybe you're not a tight group. And then that gets us to our play of the day. Brandon Hagel with the final word in all of this. This was the post. A chat group with all the little bubbles down below titled Champions and a Canada flag, Struddy. I love this. This is a great troll job to finish off. I don't even know how you respond to that if you're the Chuckies.
Well, you don't until the Olympics. And then if you win, then you do the same thing.
Marchand with some parting shots from the tournament too. When you open your mouth and get chirpy in the media, sometimes it comes back to bite you. Yeah, I just hope Marchand's on the team and he's there because those are going to be great storylines in Italy.
For sure. Looking forward to it already. You're away. Can't wait.
Yeah. Okay. Great show, guys. Long one, but boy, we covered a lot of ground in there. Great job today, fellas.
Likewise. Good job.
Thanks, fellas. Enjoyed it. Happy Saturday, everybody.
Yeah, giddy up. Enjoy your Saturday night. Thanks to all of you for joining us here on the stream. We're still figuring out if we can get a pod together for tomorrow. Not 100% sure we can. If we can't, it'll likely be on Monday night. So keep an eye on our socials, and we will let you know. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. Thanks to Play Alberta, our great title sponsor, and we'll chat again soon here on Got Your Back.